Hi guys, thanks for being here. These 6 tips are truly going to give you a competitive advantage when you're making your daily dials. Let's get into it. Number 1, I want you to wring out your sponge for 10 minutes before you get on the dialer. What on earth am I talking about? Each one of us has stress and worries in our life, and we do not want to carry that stress and worry into our calling session, because if we do, we are not going to be fully present for the sellers that we're trying to connect with. We need to be there to help them. These calls are about community outreach, and if we are bogged down with our own concerns and worries in our life, then we're not going to be able to give and help other people. So taking this 10 minutes to decompress, either through prayer, meditation, exercise, stretching, whatever your method is really going to help you maximize the benefits of your calling session. Tip number 2, you have to wear different hats during your phone calls. Sometimes you need to be a parent because people's inner child comes out when they don't get their way, aka their house doesn't sell. So you have to approach them from a mature standpoint. Let them cry, let them pout, let them have a temper tantrum of sorts, and be there for them in a parental fashion. You might also need to be their therapist. You need to help them reframe failure. Many homeowners don't understand that it's not uncommon for a house not to sell the first time it goes on the market. That happens a lot. That's why we have all these expired listings. But if they sell a house maybe once every 20 years, they think, oh no, I'm a failure. You have to tell them, no, you're not a failure. We can change a few things with your marketing and we can get different results. We see it happen all the time. Treat them gently the way a therapist would and help them look at the situation from a different perspective. You also need to be a detective because you need to ask questions on these calls. You have to ask the seller, what is your motivation for selling? What is your timeline for selling? You're gathering data from them so that you can decide how you can best help them and insert yourself into their situation and hopefully become their agent. Lastly, being a comedian is also a good thing because sometimes you need to lighten the mood, especially when you have somebody on the phone who's frustrated with all the phone calls, right? Maybe a good joke or a kind of a silly comment will lighten things up so that you can get them liking you in that moment, and then you can steer them back to the conversation of discussing meeting with them to list their home for sale. You're wearing different hats. Knowing this when you're dealing with different personality types is really going to help you be strategic with these calls. Number 3 is really easy to remember. You need to say the lead's name. And if you don't know how to pronounce it, just ask them, what's the proper way to pronounce it? Dale Carnegie, author of How to Win Friends and Influence People, once said that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. We want to make our sellers feel important. We want to make them feel as though we care about them because we genuinely care about them. We have to care about the people that we're trying to help and connect with in business. And if you say their name, they're going to realize, I'm not just another phone call to Mandy. I'm not just another lead or a listing she's trying to get. She cares about me because I do, and I want them to feel that way. I want them to feel special. And the best way to do that is to recognize them as an individual by saying their name. Number 4, tonality. How do you sound on your calls? I want to know, how do you sound? Do you sound positive and calm, or do you sound quick and abrupt, or maybe tired and distracted? Energy is what you need to bring to every call, and energy is conveyed through your tone of voice. Now, when you think about it, we only have a few tools available to us when we're cold calling. We have the words that we're speaking, we have the words that we're writing down either in emails or text messages, and lastly, we have the tone of our voice, the energy that we bring to the conversation. We always want to strive to sound professional, helpful, empathetic, and enthusiastic. We want to be that little yellow guy in that sea of blue guys, right? The blue guys are just sounding like la 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 la, I'm just getting my dials in for the day. But no, I want you to stand out, and I want you to stand out in a positive way. You've got a sincere desire to help the person on the other end of the phone, and the way they know that is through your tone of voice, the energy that you're bringing to the call, the helpful attitude that they can hear. These people have given us the courtesy of picking up our phone call, and they've given us their time. Let's get on stage sounding helpful, positive, and upbeat so that we can take care of them and they can sense that in our voice. Tip number 5, mirroring. When one person imitates the verbal or nonverbal behaviors of another, can be that, or it could also be repeating people's words back to them so that they know that you heard them. The basic theme behind this technique is that people like to do business with people that are like them. They want to feel your vibe and they want to know that your vibe is their vibe. So you have to speak the way they do. If they're speaking quickly, you want to speed up your rate of speech. If they're speaking slowly, you want to slow down your words. Now, I want you to know that I'm not telling you to be somebody other than who you are. I want you to be authentic, but sometimes you have to change the way you're communicating so that you can connect more easily with the person that you're hoping to connect with. For instance, if you're speaking to somebody that's elderly, they usually process information slower, so you want to reduce your rate of speech. If you're speaking to somebody where English is their second language, you want to use simpler words. Mirroring has two definitions. You want to imitate their style of communication, and you also want to reiterate back to them what they've said so that they know that they have been heard. Our last tip, tip number 6, follow-up. 95% of the time, you will not schedule an appointment on the first call. It's just so rare that it happens with the first connection. The seller might want to take a break, they might be traveling, etc. Following up and nurturing the lead is where the money is, because people do business with people that show them that they want their business. So you've got to stay with them, and you've got to have a follow-up system for staying with them. I always say, if you don't have a follow-up system, don't even bother making your calls, because there's so much follow-up involved with this whole cold calling process. And if you don't have a follow-up system, you can check into that video up there. I've got a link to my whole follow-up system. It's free. I use it on Google Sheets, and I hope that it helps you. So make sure that you're always circling back with your lead. You know, we're not ready now, Mandy. Check back in 2 months. What's my rule of thumb on that? I always say to cut the follow-up time in half from what they tell you to follow up in. So if they say 2 months, I follow up in a month. They say 2 weeks, I follow up in a week. Always stay a step ahead of them. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you found these 6 tips to be helpful. If so, please leave me a thumbs up down below and consider subscribing to the channel. I'll see you on the next video.